guys, Lita here from Art with Lita. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be making something sweet and yummy. It is some type of chocolate dessert served in what looks like a jar. And let's get to it. Today I'm going to be experimenting with acrylic markers and watercolor pencils. My question is, can I use watercolor pencils and blend them over the top of acrylic markers? Well, why don't you watch the video with me and let's find out. I went in with the closest brown I could get to the chocolate sauce that's in this dessert. It wasn't quite dark enough, but I figured I can find a pencil or something to make it darker where I needed it. This dessert looked so yummy and so delicious. Do you ever get the urge to just draw or paint something that you'll probably never eat? You know, even if I ever did get a dessert that looked like this, I probably wouldn't be able to eat more than just a few bites of it because it'd be so sweet. Now I know that spoon handle looks very dark at the moment, but I do go in and make it look more metallic a little bit later. At the moment, I'm just going in, I'm adding the various lines and the dark areas that I see in the jar and just giving it some definition. You know, glass is always tricky to make. The important thing is that when looking at your reference photo, you always just look for the shapes, the various shapes of color, and that's what you concentrate on. So get out of your head that you're painting a glass jar. You're just painting these shapes and that's it. And if you do it like that, you'll see that in the end, it all comes together. That handle there was just a little bit tricky. It seemed awfully dark, so I had to keep on going over it with different markers. It's actually a different colored gray now. I know it doesn't really show up that well on the camera, but I had two different types of grays. Not to mention my dark gray for the jar. There's the edge of that spoon handle, and it'll get worked on a bit more. This dessert just looked so luscious and so delicious. There I'm going in with a dark brown pencil. This is a Prismacolor watercolor pencil, so that means that the moment I touch it with water, it will activate and it will become a deeper, darker version of what's already on the paper, and it just becomes this beautiful painting medium. The nice thing about watercolor pencils is that you can put down a very precise amount and you can get it exactly where you want it depending on how sharp the point is, and you don't have to worry about accidentally painting outside the lines. And you can use it dry, just leave it dry as it is, or you can go over it with a damp paintbrush, as I'm going to do in a minute, and liquefy that color and liquefy that paint and have something with a much more painterly effect to it. And you can see that the strokes are just about dissolving entirely. So I think I've answered my question on whether I can go over acrylic paint with a watercolor pencil. The answer is definitely a yes, I can. Obviously, you have to make sure your acrylic paint is dry. And by using a watercolor pencil, I'm able to get rid of that scratchiness where you see all the pencil strokes that you get with normal colored pencils when you use them over acrylic. Now this dessert had a couple different types of chocolate going on in it, and it did have a more reddish chocolate that I'm going to try to get there with just the colored pencil. And I'm going to go in and liquefy that and try to give the impression that it's kind of mixing with that cream on the inside of the jar there. You see how beautiful that becomes once it's touched with water. If you like watercolor at all, get yourself a small set of watercolor pencils. They're a lot of fun to play with and they can actually be quite useful. Now I know you could probably just use normal watercolors to do this as well, but watercolor pencils are just fun. There I'm going in with a pencil straight onto the wet paper to get a more vibrant effect and to lay down much heavier pigment. You do have to be careful when you're doing this. I'm also dipping the tip of my pencil in water. I know that some artists say that you should never do this, you're going to destroy your pencils. Well, I've been doing it for years and I've never seen anything bad happen to my pencils because I dipped the very tip of it into some water. What you get is a much heavier lay down of color. I think initially this was supposed to be whipped cream, all the white areas in the jar and on top there. But I was thinking, what if it's like a caramel cream, a caramel? How are you supposed to say that? Caramel or caramel? What if it's a caramel cream? What if it's a pistachio cream? So I go in and I add a lot more color to the cream there just to give the impression that it does have a flavor to it as well. I think chocolate and caramel would probably go good together. Also chocolate and pistachio. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. I'm just going through and trying to add the little bit of streaky look that's on the inside of that jar, and I'm liquefying that color. Now it comes out awfully yellow looking. At the moment I just have like a yellow color and a gray down, and I'll be touching that up in a moment. I love chocolate desserts. I love chocolate anything just about. So what do you think? Pistachio cream? That looks very pistachio-like to me. I'm adding a little bit of that color down inside the jar as well, so that what's on top doesn't look too disconnected, so that it looks like it's a hole going all the way through the entire artwork. We have pistachio cream everywhere. Things were looking just a little bit too flat, and I could not find my Prismacolor black pencil. So I just got out my 8B watercolor graphite pencil, and I'm going to add my darkest darks in with that. So I guess you could call this truly a multimedia piece. We have graphite, we have acrylic, we have watercolor pencils, all working together to make a beautiful little piece of art. I'm adding the very darkest bits where the cookies and the chocolate would be touching the glass. It just makes a very flat, very dark effect. At least that's how it shows up in the picture anyways. And look at how beautifully that activates with just a little bit of water. That is just incredible. It always blows my mind working with graphite pencils. Just look at that graphite. That sure is pretty. I always love seeing things like that. Now that's the nice thing about doing voiceovers, is that you can see your own video again and see the artwork come together. Pretty cool. At this point, I decided that the cream was looking just a bit too green. So I go in with that reddish brown color, and I'm gonna brown it up a bit and try to get rid of some of that green. Maybe it will be a caramel cream at the end of the day. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Is this caramel or is it pistachio? I'm leaning towards caramel myself. But that's just because I love caramel stuff. Well, I'm going to leave you guys here. Do enjoy the rest of the video. Be blessed. And if you have enjoyed this video in any way, shape, or form, leave me a like and a subscribe if you would please. It does help my tiny little channel a lot. Lead it out.